vlog. We are going to the lake this afternoon, so I'm going to do some paddle boarding and we're going to grill. We're going to make tacos. I'm so excited about that. So this segment is about to be a little bit of Founder Diaries, and I hesitate to even call it that because I've been having so much anxiety lately. First off, I promised myself that I would be very truthful and kind of uncut with the types of thoughts, feelings, sentiments that I have around building a brand, and not kind of like sugarcoat it or only show the highlights or the wins, because the reality is that there is so much turmoil, self-doubt that swirls around in my head, and I think in the brains of most founders throughout the lifetime of your business. Last night I was lying in bed in the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep, and I just kept thinking, I've got to stop doing these Founder Diary segments on my YouTube channel because, first of all, who am I to even call myself a founder? My business is not even a year out the gate, despite the fact that I've been working on building it for 3 years. I had this very strong feeling like I don't have the right to even call myself a founder, let alone share my experience. And then I was listening to a podcast this morning, Your Manifesting Bestie, which you should check it out if you're not familiar with it. But she talks a lot about making quantum leaps, a lot about the laws of manifestation, the laws of the universe, attracting what you want to attract, and kind of letting go of old thought patterns and beliefs that no longer serve you. And I just realized how many of those I have. The episode today was about shame and how much shame plays a role in your performance as either someone who's building a business or just anyone in the world who's trying to, work hard and succeed at something. And there is so much about shame that seeps into your internal dialogue, into your rhetoric, how you talk about yourself to other people, how you have self-limiting beliefs and shame around success. I feel like I tend to internally cap myself and cap my potential because there's something about it that feels like I don't deserve that, I can't have that, how dare I ask for that? I think it comes from a few places, but I'm trying to be good about sharing more of the gritty detail that goes into a realistic day. A lot of the stuff is not fun. I love what I do and I love what I'm building, but it doesn't mean that it's always fun. I think Elon Musk said something, and that is being an entrepreneur is like eating glass and staring into the abyss of death. That sounds like an Elon quote. He also said that he characterized the entrepreneurial mindset as a willingness to embrace failure as a necessary part of the entrepreneurial process. And I think everybody likes to say, I embrace failure, I'm able to process failure and keep it moving, but it's a struggle for everyone. And there are so many micro failures that happen throughout any given week. And my final comment on this whole mindset is something else that Elon said, which is, I'm paraphrasing, but when you are the founder or CEO of a company, all the shit rolls downhill to you. You hear about all of the failures, all of the worst things, and they all funnel down to you or up to you, whatever way you want to look at it, but they all funnel to you. And so on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, you are the recipient and the person who really has to deal with anything that goes wrong. You might be able to delegate some of the steps to execute a solution, but it all rolls downhill to you. That's something that people often don't think about when they think about starting any sort of business brand. If you're going into it thinking that you are going to be easy breezy and every day is going to be this glamorous vision of you living out your dream, that ain't it. And my goal is to be more transparent about that. All right, wrapping up at the apothecary. We had a really good day here today, so yay for that. Going to the lake next. was watching this really interesting podcast interview on YouTube, and it's a very big podcast where the host interviews all sorts of entrepreneurs and leaders of industry and business, kind of similar to Diary of a CEO, but not that one. At first I saw the title and I thought, ooh, I love this brand. I'm going to listen to this interview because I love the stuff that they make, so I want to hear from their founder. And within the first 5 minutes of the interview, you learned that their father is a billionaire and the owner and creator of a very, very popular and lucrative brand. You learn that they went to school for the type of brand that they ended up creating, and that they were really not very good in any of the classes, didn't really acquire any of the skills that it would take to build a brand like this. And, you know, as the episode goes on, you hear all about how successful the brand all of a sudden became, and the founder almost sounded sleepy, like they were bored. And I've heard this before on podcasts where someone, either the interviewer or the interviewee, the way that they're talking, their tone and cadence is just sleepy. Like they just sound like they either don't want to be there, or they're bored, or they seem like they just woke up. This had that sort of energy. It was just lacking in a lot of like enthusiasm, excitement about what they had built, and so on and so forth. So throughout this interview, you don't hear anything about struggle. You don't hear anything about, you know, the challenges that come with building something, with being a CEO, with being a founder, with hiring, firing, all of the things that go into a business, right? You don't hear about that. There's no recognition of the extremely high platform in which this founder started from. Your parent is a billionaire, which, you know, maybe or maybe not did they directly fund the starting of this founder's business, but more than likely they had some involvement financially. It was interesting how they spoke about the fact that they never really acquired skills. Like they never really acquired the skills to create the products that ended up being created magically, to run a business. And it just read out of touch. It read that this person made it sound like they basically just had an idea and then were able to hire out for the best of the best in the business to actually execute on their nice idea. And that was that. And that's how the company was built. That's how the brand was created. That's how it's done so well, is simply because this was someone who had the financial resources to hire the best of the best and execute everything. And it was just all outsourced. And I'm not saying that that's to a T exactly how it happened, but that is exactly how they made it sound on the telling of their own story during this interview. Now, I compare that to another video I was watching recently, which was the Huda Beauty rebrand video. And she was obviously talking a lot about the rebrand that they recently did, but she also briefly spoke about some of her struggles of being a CEO, when she stepped down from being a CEO and then came back in, and that being one of the biggest mistakes that she made in her career. And she was just very honest. She was very candid. Did she start Huda Beauty from the platform of having millions and millions of followers as a beauty influencer? Yes, but she became that prolific beauty influencer because she was one of the first to start consistently posting beauty videos on YouTube back in, I think, 2010. So she grew her brand, her personal brand, for years before ever launching Huda Beauty, when she had this like influencer status and built-in audience. And I believe she said that she's working on a docuseries to specifically focus on the story and the hero's journey and the mistakes and the trials and tribulations of building a business. So I consumed both of those pieces of media within like 24 hours of each other, and I thought it was fascinating the way these two people told their stories so differently. Both of them started brands from a relatively high platform, right? A very high jumping off point, except one of those seemed to have built the bricks that held up their own platform, whereas the other one seemed to tell the story that their platform was built for them, and even when they jumped off the platform, everything that came after was also built and executed for them because they had the means to outsource it all. Food for thought. I tend to think about these things a lot because there's such a lack of founders, creators, telling real stories about how they did what they did. It's such a small pool, relatively speaking. I believe it's quickly growing, but it is such a small pool of female founders that are building things. And I wish that more of them, especially those who have achieved success and who have reached these like new echelons of visibility and influence, that they would tell the more realistic parts of their story and kind of extend a hand down to those female founders who are in the very early stages of building. You know, everybody always says, like, women helping women and be a girl's girl. We can set that example by being more transparent, founder to founder, and sharing more of our mistakes, the things that led us astray, the things we wasted money on. I mean, good Lord, if I had had more insight from female founders that I look up to as to what they truly believe they wasted money on in the first 2 to 3 years of their business, I probably could have saved myself a couple tens of thousands of dollars. So take that for what you will. So I just came to the upstairs of the stable, and we have this big open space that obviously we don't really do much with or anything with. It's a little scary up here right now, but it has so much potential. It has these amazing original wood floors that desperately need cleaning. It's got all of these windows all the way throughout. I have no idea what's in there. Scary. All these windows, this big window at the end, and then it has these barn doors that look out over the bagua, which they're currently working in. So it's such a cool space, and I really want to do something with it, but we're not sure what, and we're not sure, like, I don't know, the investment in it, depending on what it would be. So if there's anyone who has any ideas of what we could turn this into and make some money off of it, please let me know. It's got amazing high ceilings. We could hang like chandeliers from there. It's got these brick pillars, and yeah, just like gorgeous glass windows. You could probably get avian flu in here right now because there's so much bird shit everywhere, but a lot of potential in this space. So very curious to hear your thoughts.
Carol? Is this you? Yeah, thank you. Is there a fork or something to eat it with? I can grab you a fork right up here, yeah.
I feel like you can always tell what state my head is in by what state my hair is in. And today, we have crazy hair, crazy head, crazy brain. Crazy hair, crazy brain. Maybe that's why they call it hare-brained. Hare-brained scheme. I think I just figured that out. Now I do want to give some really positive updates because I feel like perhaps I've sounded a little bit negative this week, and it's not meant to be negative. As I said, it's just meant to be really realistic and show that it's not all rainbows and butterflies when you're doing this kind of thing. It's a lot of grunt work. And a lot of like fighting demons in your own head and avoiding, if you can, the comparison game. And that's just the reality. So I'm trying to highlight that. But to share some good news from this week, one is we landed our first international retailer. So Good Psyche will be headed to Amsterdam. Two is we were nominated for the Beauty Independent Awards Best New Brand. and we'll be headed to New York City in September for a special celebration for the nominees. Good Psyche has officially become the highest grossing, most purchased brand in the Littlest Apothecary, which is cool. We have, not to compete with Shannon, but as you guys know, I went from not expecting it to sell hardly at all in that particular setting to now we are the #1 selling brand in the shop, and we have a ton of other products. I have to take note, since I'm managing the apothecary, I do have to take note of how many different brands we're carrying now, but ballpark estimate is about 40, maybe 45 different brands. So out of 40 plus different brands, Good Psyche has been the most popular, which is awesome. There are some other little things that I'm making progress on, and I'll have to update you on those next week, but just some quick, positive, happy updates on the business side of things. I am going to end this vlog here and pick up with you guys next week. We have some fun activities coming up the rest of this week and over the weekend, so I will capture those for y'all. As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share these videos with friends, family, coworkers, and I'll see you guys next week.